Florida, a land of golden beaches, warm sunlight, and cities in constant motion. A place often described as a symbol of opportunity, freedom, and the promise of an easier life. But across cities and towns, thousands of people are living in precarious conditions without stable housing. Homelessness is ubiquitous. From parks to sidewalks, each day passes without certainty about where they will find rest, shade, or access to basic services. This leads to a host of social problems: theft, robbery, drug addiction, alcoholism, and more. Here, a different reality takes shape. A life without clear boundaries between day and night. Without fixed schedules or long-term stability. Only the effort to remain safe and make it through each day. These are not isolated stories. In a state known for its growth and prosperity, tens of thousands of people continue to live at the margins of this dream. They have not disappeared. They are simply rarely noticed. And today we begin here, not to judge, but to observe. To understand how life unfolds for people experiencing homelessness in Florida, behind the sunlight, behind the busy streets, and behind the dream that so many continue to pursue.
The numbers behind the sunshine.
To understand homelessness in Florida, we have to look beyond what is immediately visible. Behind every statistic is a lived reality, one shaped not by a single night without shelter, but by months, sometimes years, of instability. According to the most recent point-in-time count, Florida recorded approximately 28,000 people experiencing homelessness. The survey shows a decline compared to previous years, including a significant reduction in the number of people sleeping outdoors. On paper, these figures suggest progress. But the point-in-time count captures only a brief moment, a snapshot taken over a single night. What it cannot fully reflect are the long, unfolding stories behind those numbers. People moving from place to place, adapting to changing conditions, and navigating a system that often struggles to keep pace with their needs. The point-in-time count relies on hundreds of volunteers and outreach workers who go out at night to speak with people living without stable housing. Their goal is not only to count, but to understand, to gather information that helps shape funding decisions, services, and long-term planning. In recent years, however, collecting this data has become more complicated. New statewide policies restricting sleeping and staying in public spaces have changed how and where people live. These measures were introduced to manage public space and urban order, but they have also altered the daily realities of people experiencing homelessness. Outreach organizations report that many individuals now avoid visible areas. Some move deeper into wooded spaces or less accessible locations. Others change their routines frequently, making it harder for volunteers to find and engage with them during official counts. As a result, experts caution that declining numbers do not necessarily mean fewer people in need, but rather that homelessness is becoming less visible. This challenge is not uniform across Florida. In some counties, the number of people experiencing homelessness has declined slightly. In others, it has increased. These regional differences reflect variations in housing costs, availability of services, and local responses, reminding us that homelessness is not a single, uniform issue, even within the same state. Florida has long faced pressure from rising housing costs and limited availability of affordable housing. For years, the state ranked among those with the largest homeless populations in the country. While recent figures show changes in how homelessness appears on the surface, the underlying conditions remain complex. For many people without stable housing, policy shifts do not translate into greater security. Being asked to move from one place does not mean being offered a permanent home. A change in location is not the same as a path toward stability. When volunteers conduct the point-in-time count, they often encounter more than statistics. They hear about nights spent searching for shelter from rain, mornings focused on finding water, and the fragile networks people build to support one another. These experiences rarely appear in charts or reports, but they are essential to understanding what life without stable housing truly looks like in Florida. And as the numbers change, one question remains constant: whether the systems designed to measure homelessness are also equipped to respond to it, not just by reducing visibility, but by creating lasting pathways toward stability and dignity. As the morning light reaches the streets of Florida, life begins again for people without stable housing. While the city wakes up to workdays and routines, their day starts differently, with the simple task of staying safe, finding shade, and securing the few belongings they carry with them. According to recent point-in-time count surveys conducted across Florida, outreach workers and volunteers documented people living in a wide range of situations: temporary shelters, vehicles, and public spaces not intended for long-term living. Together, these surveys provide a broader picture of what homelessness looks like in practice. Not a single experience, but many shaped by age, health, family circumstances, and access to support services. Early mornings in parks, parking lots, or along quiet streets bear little resemblance to Florida's tourist image. People carefully fold blankets, organize small bags, and prepare to move. These routines are not just about tidiness, they are acts of preservation. When personal belongings are lost, replacing them can be difficult, and stability becomes even harder to maintain. Some individuals head toward gas stations or convenience stores, places where water is accessible and a small purchase may allow a brief rest. Others collect recyclable bottles or usable materials, hoping to exchange them for small amounts of cash or to reinforce temporary shelter. These actions are not choices made freely. They are responses to a daily reality shaped by limited options. For some, vehicles become temporary homes. Older vans, cars, or recreational vehicles offer a degree of separation from the street, but they are far from secure. Without reliable climate control, sanitation, or legal parking spaces, these vehicles provide only short-term relief. During the day, heat can build quickly. At night, people remain alert, aware that they may be asked to move with little notice under local regulations. Conditions in temporary living areas often make maintaining health more difficult. Access to hygiene facilities is limited. Medical care is not always consistent. Public health reports and homelessness studies consistently show that people living without stable housing face greater barriers to receiving ongoing care, which can affect both physical and mental well-being. For many, these challenges are not brief interruptions. They extend over months or years. Daily life becomes a cycle of movement, adaptation, and uncertainty. New statewide restrictions on sleeping in public spaces have increased this instability, requiring some individuals to relocate frequently. Outreach workers report that this constant movement can make it harder for people to connect with services, remain in contact with case managers, or maintain routines that support long-term stability. Despite these difficulties, community efforts continue. Local organizations, outreach teams, and nonprofit housing providers work to bridge gaps by offering food, basic supplies, and pathways toward more stable housing. In Miami-Dade County, organizations such as Carrefour Supportive Housing have developed long-term affordable housing paired with supportive services, helping individuals transition from street-based living to permanent residences. Still, the everyday reality for many people remains defined by uncertainty. Life without stable housing is not only about the absence of a place to sleep. It is about the absence of predictability. not knowing where the next safe place will be, how long it will last, or when meaningful change will arrive. Statistics may fluctuate from year to year, and official counts may show improvement. But on the ground, daily life continues to require constant adjustment. Each day begins with practical decisions: where to go, what to carry, how to stay safe, and how to remain connected to services in a system that can be difficult to navigate. These are not isolated moments. They are the ongoing realities of thousands of people across Florida, living alongside a growing economy, within sight of opportunity, yet still searching for a stable place to call home. To fully understand homelessness in Florida, it is not enough to look only at daily life on the streets. Behind those experiences lies a broader system of policies, regulations, and community responses that shape how cities and local governments address this issue. In recent years, the state of Florida has introduced new measures to manage the use of public space. One of the most significant is House Bill 1365, passed in 2024. The law establishes a statewide framework for how local governments regulate overnight presence in public areas, while also calling on cities and counties to coordinate with social service systems to connect people without stable housing to appropriate forms of assistance. State officials have described the goal of this legislation as twofold: to maintain safety and order in shared public spaces, and to encourage a more structured approach to providing services for people experiencing housing instability. From the state's perspective, the law is intended to create consistency across municipalities and clarify responsibilities at the local level. However, as the policy has moved from legislation to implementation, community responses have highlighted its complexity. Advocacy organizations and policy analysts note that while a legal framework now exists, the availability of temporary shelter and long-term housing options varies widely from one area to another. In some communities, services have not expanded quickly enough to meet existing needs, resulting in greater movement and uncertainty for people without stable housing. Beginning in early 2025, the law also introduced a mechanism that allows residents and organizations to submit formal legal requests if they believe local governments are not adequately managing public spaces under the statute. Supporters view this provision as a way to increase accountability and transparency. At the same time, it has added pressure on cities to balance regulatory compliance with the practical realities of service delivery. At the municipal level, responses differ significantly. Some cities have prioritized outreach and service coordination before applying administrative measures, focusing on engagement and referrals rather than immediate enforcement. Others have concentrated on revising public space management policies as part of broader urban planning strategies. City council discussions in places such as Jacksonville, Tampa, and Orlando reflect these varied approaches, shaped by local resources, political priorities, and public opinion. Alongside government action, community organizations continue to play a central role. Nonprofits, faith-based groups, and volunteer networks provide food, basic supplies, service referrals, and case management support. According to reports from Florida's Department of Children and Families, these community-based efforts often serve as the primary bridge between public policy and the everyday realities faced by people without stable housing. Policy reports and housing studies consistently emphasize that long-term reductions in homelessness depend on more than the regulation of public space. Sustainable progress requires investment in affordable housing, accessible health services, and employment support. Without these foundational elements, administrative measures alone are unlikely to produce lasting change. Florida remains in a period of adjustment, refining its approach as new policies intersect with on-the-ground realities. The ongoing discussions among lawmakers, service providers, and community members reflect a broader question facing many states. how to manage public space effectively while ensuring safety, dignity, and meaningful access to support for those without a stable place to live. Alongside state and local policies, Florida maintains a broad network of community organizations working every day to support people experiencing housing instability. These efforts do not rely on a single solution. Instead, they span a wide range of services, from meeting basic needs to creating pathways toward long-term stability. In Central Florida, the Coalition for the Homeless of Central Florida has been operating for decades, providing meals, emergency assistance, and housing-focused programs. The organization follows a housing-first approach, prioritizing access to stable housing as an essential foundation before addressing other challenges. According to its public reports, hundreds of individuals receive support each day through coordinated services designed to reduce housing instability as quickly as possible. Working in coordination with these efforts, the Homeless Services Network of Central Florida acts as a regional hub connecting local governments, nonprofit organizations, healthcare providers, and outreach teams. This network helps guide people experiencing housing instability toward appropriate services, while also supporting data collection and planning to improve how resources are distributed over time. Young adults facing housing challenges represent another group receiving targeted support. Covenant House, Florida, with locations in Fort Lauderdale and Orlando, provides safe temporary housing, meals, and supportive programs for individuals between the ages of 18 and 24. These services include education assistance, life skills training, and employment guidance. Organizational reports indicate that combining temporary housing with structured support increases the likelihood of long-term stability for young people navigating this transition. In North Florida, the Sulzbacher Center in Jacksonville offers a more comprehensive model of assistance. Its programs integrate temporary housing with basic health care, social services, and employment support. By developing individualized plans for each participant, the center aims to help people move toward greater stability and reintegration into the broader community. Beyond large organizations, smaller community initiatives also play an important role. Faith-based groups, volunteer teams, and local outreach efforts regularly provide meals, essential supplies, and opportunities for connection. Resources such as the 211 Tampa Bay Cares Helpline help connect individuals and families to information about housing options, healthcare services, family support programs, and other social resources. These referral systems help bridge information gaps that can otherwise prevent people from accessing available assistance. At the same time, policy analysts and housing advocates emphasize that short-term assistance alone is not sufficient. Reports from organizations such as the Florida Supportive Housing Coalition consistently highlight the importance of long-term solutions, including affordable housing development, ongoing healthcare access, and employment support, as key factors in reducing housing instability sustainably. Their analyses suggest that investments in supportive housing not only improve individual outcomes, but also reduce long-term strain on emergency systems. Together, these efforts illustrate how community response in Florida is not limited to one sector or approach. It is shaped by collaboration among government agencies, nonprofit organizations, faith communities, and volunteers, all working toward the shared goal of increasing stability for people experiencing housing insecurity. While challenges remain, this network of support represents a critical part of Florida's broader response. It reflects an understanding that lasting progress requires coordination, long-term planning, and sustained investment, not only in managing immediate needs, but in building systems that allow people to move towards stable and dignified living conditions. For years, tools such as the point-in-time count have helped governments and communities better understand the scale and characteristics of housing instability in Florida. At the same time, the agencies conducting these surveys acknowledge that data captured at a single moment cannot fully represent the longer, more complex realities people experience over time. Florida Department of Children and Families. Policy analyses from organizations such as the Florida Supportive Housing Coalition further emphasize that while short-term assistance plays an important role, it is not sufficient on its own. Their reports consistently highlight the need for combined strategies, including affordable housing, ongoing healthcare access, and employment support, to create lasting stability rather than temporary relief. This leads to a broader question, one that goes beyond statistics and policy frameworks. How should a society measure success when it comes to stability, opportunity, and dignity for all of its residents? The issue of housing instability in Florida is not only a matter of regulations or funding. It reflects how communities, institutions, and public systems choose to work together, not merely to manage existing conditions, but to gradually build solutions that balance urban development with human needs. And as Florida continues to grow, that question remains open, inviting reflection not just from policymakers, but from the wider community itself.